But there are sometimes we emasculate without even giving it a second thought. Let's think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You hear the wife is at work and the father is a stay at home dad. Do you not give the side looks or the pullback? Your husband
Yep.
is a stay at home dad.
Yep. For sure.
That that kind of, and I don't think people intentionally do it, but they give the side eye because that's in fact not the standard. It's 2023, and
Right.
from 1989 to current 2023, 18% increase for stay-at-home dads. It started to become more frequent, but
Mm-hmm.
we still give the side eye and look at them as if they're doing something they're not supposed to. And women have been doing it for so long. They want to get out in the work field and do the things just as a man would, and they're
Right.
looked down upon because they're doing what the wife's been doing for the last umpteenth years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, I remember we were talking about the one of the podcasts is like the gender, like social norms and expectations, and that is a part of social norms and expectations
Mm-hmm.
where inadvertently we're giving the side eye, we're making the little snide comments because the social norm and expectations that we've all been
Right.
groomed to think and be is that women play this role, men play this role. There is no
Right.
in between. There is no
Right.
blending in the minds in the mindset of that. And it's a lot of things that we have to choose to unlearn and and be better at it, because it shouldn't be like, oh, she's masculine because she pays all the bills and he's a stay-at-home dad. That could be like you said, there's women that are career driven and they don't want to be the stay-at-home mom. They don't want to be the one that's at the house choosing to be something else that they're not.
I have noticed there's a trend in regards to who's to play what role. Let's say you and your partner are together, and you and your partner live together, you split the bills down, and then your partner loses his job. It, I was brought up, you hold your man down, you
Right.
pick the ball up and you run with it. You know what I mean? Until he gets back on his feet, whatever those
Right.
things. You know what I mean? Is that emasculating him, or is that in fact doing what you're supposed to do when somebody's fallen? If that makes sense at all. I used to be in a situation where the person used to tell me, "Know your role." You trying to be the dude, but my response to that was, "You're not doing anything for me to be safe enough to hand the ball to
Mm-hmm.
you."
Mm-hmm.
The lack of responsibility or the traits that are needed for me to feel safe to give you the ball to
Right.
do the masculine things,
Right.
I'm not getting. So I'm not knowing my role. I'm just not going to let the ball drop.
Right. Well, and I think that for me, it's understanding that emasculation and effeminization are perceptions. That's the first. There
Mm,
is no hard, fast rule about if you do this thing, this person will automatically feel this way because
okay.
everybody is different, right? So it's about perception. So your partner loses their job and you go get a job to support in the in between. Yes, right?
Right.
That is being a supportive partner. But that doesn't mean that your partner won't feel emasculated. He very well might feel like, oh, I
Mm,
can't get a job, so I'm not a real man, I'm not this, I'm not that. But that has nothing to do with you. That's not a you issue. That's a him and his self-esteem, his self-worth issue, right?
mm-hmm.
Because you very well could be like, well, I'm not gonna do nothing, I'm just gonna sit here and we just gonna be broke and not be able to pay bills.
Right.
But that will also be emasculated because now I can't provide for my family. So
Right.
there really is no happy medium for that because it's all about, like I said, it's all about perception. Some men may be happy to have, or some people may be happy to have a partner that is going to fill in the gap for them while they legitimately go find a job and go try and hustle. Other people may not. I had a partner
Mm-hmm.
that I was in the military active duty, and I ended up having, we had a child together, and he was staying at home with that child because he couldn't
Mm-hmm.
find a job. And I did not know at the time, but that was a very he felt very emasculated in that moment. And after that, it was like everything else was downhill. Everything was downhill. Like he felt like he could never recover from that. And it was like, well, you're at home with the child because you don't have a job, and I can't afford to pay for daycare with you're sitting at home not
Right.
working. So what's the happy medium? Like,
Right. From my personal experience, I've realized that myself, I'm more adaptable, I think is the word I'm trying to find when it comes to whether I have to go out and make the bread or I've got to go out and make the house a home.
right.
I'm able to pick up both roles, but I would say that was strongly influenced by my dad. I had that upbringing that a woman can do anything a man can do, anything at all, but she can have a baby. That's what makes her different. She can endure more than a man can in regards to pain and things of that
Right.
sort. So in my home and my upbringing, we didn't have gender roles. My mom just didn't cook. And she just didn't clean. My dad cooked and cleaned. We were not allowed to have babysitters, so we had both. We had a parent at all times. And with that being said, it made us grow up. Well, it made me personally grow up with the understanding that a man can clean a house and a woman
Yeah.
can clean a house. He may not clean it the exact same way I do, but at the end of the day, the house is still clean. Um, I felt more resistance when my ex ended up losing his job and I was the one making money. It was not well received for the cooking and the cleaning and the things of that sort. I noticed I was doing two roles at one
Mm-hmm.
time. Sat down and reflected, and I was like, if I can do all this by myself, I can do that
Right.
all by myself. I now have another whole being and having the conversations which we did or I attempted to do, I need help. I'm doing both roles. You're at home was not as perceived as well as you would think for somebody who didn't have a job at the time.
Well, and I think that goes into effeminization because a lot of times what I'm seeing patterns in relationships, you'll have single moms who are doing all the stuff and they're used to operating in that masculine energy. I have to be the provider, I have to be the protector, I have to be the problem solver, and then I have to be the nurturer and I have to be the caretaker. I have to do both roles, right? And
Yeah.
then they get a partner that's like, oh no, you're doing too much, you're too heavy in your masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I'm in this role because that's what I've had to do. Like, this was a survival tactic. This isn't who I want to be, right?
Growing up with Mike, I personally heard Mike on a million times say, Lisa, I couldn't see you being a homemaker. I didn't see you doing the feminine role or being able to submit. We've had these conversations personally, and he said it, but
Yeah.
I, I'm extremely independent. I was the girl, I was Sanaya Lathan's walking with the ball and the flip flops all throughout high school. That was I was a tomboy. Um, and I get that a lot. I'm very intimidating, and people don't think that I would be able to submit. And I think what they fail to realize is if you come to the table and I feel safe enough where I can submit, by all means I will. I will relinquish the masculine role that I've had to have for the last 9 years. But
Right.
like Micah said himself, he just didn't see it happening.
Hey,
Like I
Jordan, you want to check the comments real quick?
Yeah, I was just on it. Thank you. Yes. So Wayne Cotton Jr. Hey, Wayne Cotton Jr. So Wayne says, I think there's a difference when a man needs help and is trying to work versus not performing or bringing in enough income and stating know your role. I completely, wholeheartedly agree with that. And that, goes back to what Lisa was saying. Yes, if you're attempting to go find a job, attempting to be that provider, that protector, doing all the things, yes, for sure. But if you're sitting on the couch eating cookies, talking about know your role, let's talk about that. Like,
yeah, there's a shift. Listen, I don't mind, but you can't do all the rah rah that you would do as if you were providing or
right,
cooking or cleaning or doing the things that would compensate or take the load off of the significant other who's doing all of it.
right,
You
I
see
think
me?
I think it's a little bit harder, and just because boys are brought up differently. I'm doing the best I can to teach my son there are no gender roles. You are just as good to go wash your dirty underoos like I'm able to wash your dirty underoos. So you need to learn how to cook. You don't rely on a woman to do those things. And if you have a person that does it great, appreciate her. But it's not just her responsibility. You can do a little laundry as well, or you can cook a meal. You can make it a partnership. In my personal opinion, what made one of the most successful relationships I've ever seen in my life was there was no gender roles. If you work, I work. Our money goes into a mutual, and you
No, you're fine.
cook, I cook, you clean,
Your
I
name
clean.
is still on
There's
there.
no women only do this and men only do that.
You
So
can't see everybody.
they were married 50,
So the log out and log back in there.
57 years,
Wow.
57 years to the day.
Right. I definitely feel like gender roles plays a huge role in the concepts of emasculation and effeminization, because if you subscribe to gender roles and you feel like women are supposed to be doing this, men are supposed to be doing this, and that person isn't doing that, then then you might feel some kind of way about it. But again, it goes back to emasculation and effeminization are perceptions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can do the same thing and have a different outcome. Go ahead.
Yeah.